Georgia, Sean, played a really sloppy game against Florida. 34-20, the final score. DJ Lagway, who had a really hot start to the game, went down with what appeared to be a hamstring injury, and that completely took them out of it. Their offense could not move the ball. You're down to your third-string quarterback. There was no energy to be had. Despite this, Georgia let Florida hang around for the entirety of it. It was tied multiple times. There were so many spots that it felt like Florida could maybe pull this thing out. I felt like, as we know, Georgia is still such a good team that even when they're not playing their best football, they're going to find a way to rough out a win. Big rushing plays, those final drives that they had, the late defensive performances that they showed up in on certain drives to close out this football game were extremely important. But one thing that gets really questionable and worrisome is the play of Carson Beck. Carson Beck continuously in some of these games has been a huge negative for Georgia's offense. It's not like he's getting set up for bad situations, bad ball bounces. He's making some egregiously poor decisions. I don't think that that's all on him, though. I keep coming back to the fact that last year what made Carson Beck so good is that the play calling was built around setting him up to have as little pressure on his shoulders as possible. They were running the ball well. There was good balance. They were creating opportunities with play action. I don't see that at the current moment. There's less of an early intent to run the ball and establish the run game, even when you bring back Tate Ratledge into the lineup, who was out with an injury at one of your guard spots for multiple games. They need to stop trying to make Carson Beck, Mike Bobo, the offensive coordinator, needs to stop trying to make Carson Beck play hero ball. He's not that type of a guy. He is not the type of guy that is going to take over a game, throw for 350 yards, and improvise like Cam Ward. You need to build things up around him in order for him to play his best football.
His first halves are tragic. Georgia's first halves are tragic. I've been saying it all year. When they play a full game, they're the best team in college football. They can be. But they don't. They refuse to start games. They refuse to set the tone early. I don't care if they had big hits in the first half. It doesn't mean anything to me if you have 6 points and you're down to Florida. That's unacceptable for this team. That is not an expectation that can be met by this team. If you have 6 points at half versus Florida, you have 28 in the second half. Congratulations. That's great. That's not going to work out for you in the CFP. That's not going to carry out through the season. Why do you continue to try to open the game with a pass-heavy scheme? If you're opening the game and you're saying, hey, we've been slow basically all season to open these things up, just run the rock in the first half. Worst thing that happens is it makes the defense a little more tired. That's the worst possible situation if you went 3 straight run plays, 3 straight run plays, 3 straight run plays. I get it. It's not really feasible. I like a balanced mix. That's how you should operate. But it's so unsuccessful in the first half, this Georgia offense, that you have to change something. You have to figure something out. Run it to set up the play action. Run to set up the pass. You can't pass to set up the run. They're not good enough for that. Carson Beck isn't good enough to just go out and start dotting, and now we have to start spreading out the defense for him. He's not that guy. 3 picks against Florida is unacceptable. It's a total. Today was a total. If we're doing a winners and losers of this week's college football slate, Georgia is a loser with the performance they turned in. I didn't see anything that was a winning performance. Like they got better this week. They didn't.
I don't think it's necessary to like sound the alarm on Georgia. Right. I'm not doing that whatsoever because again, when they're playing shitty football, they're not playing up to their potential. They're still able to win the football game. Examples of where that didn't pan out for other teams, Tennessee and Alabama. Played bad football games, were not good enough and competent enough to find a way to win and turn to a certain direction that was going to help them finish. Georgia did that. Georgia got a big defensive stop. They finished off their last 2 drives, closed out the game over, despite all the problems that they went through. They're still, in my eyes, in the driver's seat to win the national championship game. And it all is not going to come down to if Carson Beck plays well or not. It's all going to come down to, does Mike Bobo set up this offense to perform to its highest potential? He is the one who needs to take the majority of the blame for all of these problems and these inconsistencies.